Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. And this is Savva and Lubo. Ask us anything, which means get your questions in. I will star them and we will get to them as we go. Obviously, super chats will be asked first, but I will be storing them. So please get as many questions in as possible. I will try and answer as many as possible. Lubo, happy Wednesday is today. Happy Wednesday. How are we?
All good, thanks. Got coffee fit parts. All good.
Good. And yes, you have. Just quickly, who has said that Calvert-Lewin is going to Chelsea? Guys and girls, do me a favour, right? Moving forward, when people put things like this in the chat, could you just be so kind and let us know where you've seen this information? Because otherwise, everyone's putting in things where some reporter in Bulgaria has said that Chelsea might go for Calvert-Lewin. And the next thing you know, we're saying, have you seen this is happening? Let us know. Get your questions in. Lubo, it is Wednesday. And Tottenham are in talks with a player. We are in talks. We know that for a fact. We are in talks with Mohamed Kudus. Other than that, it seems very quiet on the Western Front. Doesn't seem to be anything else concrete. When will Spurs get going? When's our summer transfer window going to properly begin?
I actually think it'll be a couple of weeks. I think Frank's coming in. He wants to have a look at all the players. The players are back in training, I think, from Friday this week. Funny enough, just had Spurs are putting out, asking for applications now for the pre-season friendlies. Just had an email in half an hour ago for Reading and Luton. And the PSG tickets came out on sale. So things are starting to happen in terms of the fans from the ticket office. But there's more action going on there than there is above. So I think Frank wants to have a look. I'm sure he doesn't want to let anybody go unless he thinks they're, just unsuitable for what he's at Spurs to do. So I just think we're a little bit behind the ballpark this summer because we've got a new manager.
Yeah, but wouldn't we have known we're getting a new manager? Like, is that really an excuse? Wouldn't we would have known we were getting a new manager months ago? Something needs to get going, right? Like, we can't just sit there and wait for all these teams to buy, can we? We're just falling further and further behind.
Well, I'm sure there's phone calls going on behind the scenes, checking whether players are interested or not.
Sure, of course.
I'm sure there'll be lists of players. I'm sure Lange is probably making, or Parish is making phone calls, asking, checking with agents. And just getting everything together for Thomas Frank. So, when it happens, it happens. It's been a strange transfer window. I can't remember the last time all the big clubs moved so quickly, so early in the window.
Yeah, I think I think that's the biggest issue for me. Is look, I'm not sitting. I don't talk about the top four. You know me now. I feel like they've gone. I feel like those days have absolutely died a death for Spurs as of this moment. Yeah. I think in a few years' time we can talk about getting back there. But in your mind, before we get to some questions, would you say that top four is, as it stands, that top four is so far superior to everyone else? I mean, they've all signed and they've all signed well.
I think. I wouldn't expect Spurs to be top four this year, to be honest with you. Whether Newcastle and Villa can challenge Chelsea, I don't know. The other three are going to be way out of sight. You're looking at the top four probably will be the same, as it'll be those four. But I think Arsenal, City and Liverpool will be a long way ahead of Chelsea. I think their squads are far better.
I agree. I think they're the only ones.
Much more settled. The managers have been there. I know, Slot's just seamlessly slotted in. At Liverpool, he inherited a great squad, didn't he, from Klopp? So there wasn't too much. He didn't need to do too much last summer, did he? And they just walked the league last year.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see though with Liverpool, right? Because he's won the league without his own club, without his own players.
Yeah.
This year now, he's starting to get 4, 5, 6 of his own players. Yeah. Pressure's a bit more on Slot this year. Wasn't on him last year. I think the pressure's on him big time this year. You got Pep, who after their year last year, obviously finishing third for most clubs is amazing, but for them it was poor. And then you've got Arteta, who's spending big and hasn't won anything. So this could be a great title race, couldn't it?
I think it's interesting. With City, I don't think Pep will change it because he had Rodri that he lost very early on. De Bruyne was injury prone. And, De Bruyne was the main feed for Haaland. So the whole team was disrupted because of 2 players. And they never really got going last year, did they? Like they normally do. So for me, he would have looked at that and think, do you know what? I'm not going to be caught short like that again. I can't have a situation where if Rodri's missing, the whole thing just collapses, or De Bruyne, So De Bruyne is gone, which I think he was surprised about. And look at the players that he's brought in. He brought Mamouche in January. He's brought Cherki in. He's brought
Aït-Nouri.
Sorry, which one? Aït-Nouri, yes.
Brought in Reinders, Aït-Nouri. He's still going to buy a couple more. They'll still buy a couple more.
That's right. He brought Gonzalez in Jan, didn't he? And he brought the centre half in. What was his certain name? Can't think. Had an appalling debut. Croatian boy.
Kusanov. Yeah, he'll be a good player. Seen him play before he came to the UK.
So he's literally bought half a team in 6 months.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're going big. I think it's going to be a 3-way title race. Chelsea for me are then the best of the rest in fourth. Yeah. The big question for me is going to be Newcastle and Villa at the moment haven't moved. At the moment, Newcastle have tried to move, haven't got anybody through the door. Villa haven't signed anybody. And then you've got Man U and Spurs, who would also be in that big 8 conversation, so to speak, that are both down the bottom of the table. But United are buying. Spurs, as of this moment, haven't. I think it's going to be a very interesting season to see what we do this year. It really is.
No, no predictions from me till September the 1st, that's for sure.
Mate, absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. I mean, this morning we had a lot of people saying, "Oh, I still think we'll get top 4," and I'm looking at it going, "Oh, I don't know what you're basing the top 4 on." Listen, let's get to some questions. And any news that is broken during this show, I will let you know. By the way, just a bit of news that could affect the whole Kudu still is that Sunderland are in talks with Chelsea for their goalkeeper, Petrovic. Bournemouth are also interested. Previously reports that he would leave for 25 million. Quite crazy when you think about it, because that money will go towards funding another signing for Chelsea. It's what they do. They spend and spend and spend. Also, quite embarrassing that Sunderland are going like that with signings, and they've literally just come up for the Championship. But keep an eye on that one, because I've got a feeling that's going to have a direct link on whether they pull the trigger on Kudus. And I want to start with that before we go to the questions. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, if Levy doesn't get this deal over the line, and forget what we think of the player for the moment. I've always said this Kudus deal is all going to be based around if Chelsea come calling. If Chelsea come calling, Lubo, I expect Chelsea will get him above us.
Well, wages-wise, they'll offer a lot more, and they won't balk at the fee. But I don't understand how they can just keep buying and buying and buying. It's at what point does it stop? I mean, look at the amount of players they bought in the last 2 years.
Yeah, they got a lot.
Staggering. Just staggering. It's just literally. I think Poch walked in and had a squad of 41. I think he inherited.
Yeah.
Or was that Potter? I mean, and it hasn't abated. So I don't know. It's all a bit crazy to be honest.
But he would. But going back to my point, without the ins and outs of how can they do it, because we're not accountants. If they come in for him, I fully expect, like they have with every other player, I fully expect that Kudus would want to go to Chelsea above Tottenham. And unfortunately, that is the food chain of football. That's my worry with this signing.
Well, I'm hearing, I can't remember who it was. Someone's speaking, someone wants to buy Madueke. So he could be the guy going out that, they might get 30, 40 million for him. And that goes a long way towards buying the West Ham boys. So let's wait and see. Spurs, if they want him, they've got to get it tied up quickly. They've got to move. Newcastle, I'm reading, are interested in him as well.
And Man United.
So
just think how many of our fans don't want him. Man U want him. Chelsea want him. Newcastle want him. Not good enough for our fan base. Always remember that, Lubo. Not good enough for our fan base. The interesting thing is as well, when you look at it, Chelsea have just made. Listen, if they get themselves 50 odd million from Madueke, they're going to make. At the moment, they're currently sitting on 55 million pounds that they've made from the World Club Cup. That's at the moment. That's if they don't go further. If they go to the next round, apparently it's something like 80 million pounds they're making. And if they win it, I believe it's like 120 million, 130 million. Like, it's ridiculous. So that will cover Pedro, Delap, and Bino Gittins. If they can get money for Petrovic, money for Madueke, I'll tell you what they do better than most teams is they get players out. They might get them in, but they get money for players they're selling. If you look at the amount they get, they make money. They do.
What they do is that when they move for a player, they'll pay a bit more in terms of wages. They'll pay a bit more in terms of the transfer fee. And we want you. We're prepared to pay for you, and that's it. And they'll pay that bit more. They'll pay the extra money.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. Not every player is. A lot of players, the transfer fees don't correlate with their value. Transfer fees, come in at a lot more than what they should be.
But that's the game you want Levy to participate in, right? Like, I'm seeing a lot of Spurs fans. We seem to complain every time a signing comes in. We go, oh, he's 50 million. Oh, I wouldn't pay 60. I wouldn't pay 70. But then we have a go at Daniel Levy for not rivaling these big clubs who do go, how much do you want? Boom, done. That's football, right? You got to pay. You got to pay what the selling club wants.
That's the game. It's like buying a house. You want that house, you pay the asking price.
Mm. And by the way, the reports coming out today, people, the first reports are that, and I believe this was last week, I don't believe this bid was recent days, is that Spurs did have a first offer turned down for Kudus for 50 plus 5. So that will be the starting point. Now let's see what the next bid is. I'm guessing the next bid will be 55 plus 5, and then we'll play the game. As I said, I'll end this conversation before we go to the chat on this. My biggest issue is that the moment I see that Chelsea are involved, I kind of give up on all signings, because I know that Chelsea will be told the moment Spurs have an offer accepted, Chelsea will be made aware that an offer has been accepted, and Chelsea will go, boom. If that's the guy they want, they'll make it happen. If not, they'll go somewhere else. Let's have a look at some some questions. Big up. Madabs, this is a good one to get Lubo in the mood, isn't it? Where do you think the money from the events at the stadium has gone if we are cash strapped?
It goes towards the rebuild interest payments, or rebuild borrowings, towards those payments. I think the payments are around 30 million a year, and I think that's where the first 30 go. So there's your answer on that one. The rest of the money, I mean, they brought in, what did they bring in? It was 100 plus, or was it 200 plus million? I think it was something like 225 million on non-footballing activities for the year ending June 24. So the rest of the money has quite possibly gone on transfers, because we have spent quite a bit in the last couple of years. Where you going, Sav? He's got to sort the dog out. Next question. Let's have a look. Next question.
Sorry, front door. Big up, by the way, to Brett Pierre, who has become a member. Big up to you, Brett. Really, really do appreciate anyone who becomes a member. If anyone else would like to become a member, then just shout and let me know, and then I can send you the link. If not, no problems at all. But we do have a members-only show once a week, which is quite good. We all enjoy it. So big up to you, Brett Pierre. The next question is, should Levy get credit for the Europa League trophy? If not, why not? It's as though they know you, Lubo.
I'll give him credit for being a massive risk taker and getting lucky, because that's what keeping Ange last season was, and it worked out. Listen, I'm delighted it worked out. We had a great day in Bilbao, and we're all Spurs fans. We all want the team to do well. Did he know what he was doing when he brought Munn in, who brought Ange in? No, there were two very poor appointments because Levy doesn't really know football. Was it a situation where Sheikh Mansour can say, well, I brought in the guy from Barcelona. He knows football inside out. Look what we built. That was built with building foundations and getting stronger and stronger year by year. So, no, it was nothing like that. He got lucky. He appointed some duds and got lucky. So, please listen, I'm delighted he got lucky. But so I'll give him credit for being a lucky chairman.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know my opinion, guys. Listen, as I've always said, there's a lot that we want to, there's a lot I want to pin the blame on Levy for, hence why I don't want him here. But I think you've got to give him credit. If he's going to take the stick when we do badly, he's got to get credit if we do well, and we did do well. We won the trophy. But, hey, it won't ever be enough for some people like Lubo. But, hey, it is what it is. And one day he won't be here. And what are these people going to talk about? When they can't mention Daniel Levy's name every 5 seconds, what are they going to talk about? It's going to be very, very interesting. Where are we? Where's the next one? Thank you very much for that, Rich. Cynical Dad has said, reports in the media of Romero wanting to leave. What's your opinion on a fair valuation? It won't go away, this rumour, will it, Lubo? It won't go away.
No, listen, I think 65 million. I think based on what I'm reading in the press, just working it out, of just really between the lines, I think probably around 65 million will probably get Romero. I would think. I don't think Spurs want to be stuck with an unhappy player, but by the same token, Levy's not going to give him away. So I reckon that 65 mil is going to be probably around the figure if Atletico want to stump it up, if they can.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's that balance between the right figure and if Romero wants to stay. I've been very consistent with my view on this for a long, long time. If he doesn't want to be here, I don't want him here. But
no, me neither. I just want players that are committed to Frank's project at the end of the day.
Yeah. But in the same token, I understand that Daniel Levy's not going to turn around and go, oh, okay, then you can go for 35, 40 million. I think if he wants to go, I think you might see the number 55 with add-ons, something like that. I think if he doesn't want to go, I think the number's going to be needing to start with a 7. But listen, all I've said, and I've been consistent, if he's here next year, he's got to get fit. He's got to play every week. And if he doesn't, we can't complain as a fan base because we know that he misses games of football. And the same goes for Mickey van der Ven as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if those two start as our first choice centre-backs. Big up to you, Cynical Dad. I appreciate that. The next question is from Mark. Big up, Mark, channel member. Got a beautiful dog as well. Said, evening all. Question for Lubo Savva. I'm a huge Frank fan, but what is the biggest risk with the Frank appointment? P.S. Smash the like button, says Mark. Thank you very much, Mark. Lubo, you can go first. What's the biggest risk with the Frank appointment?
I think it's just the unknown at the moment. I don't think there's any question. He's a great coach. He's a great motivator. I'm personally very confident that he'll do very well at Spurs. It's just the unknown factor, isn't it, for me? In terms of ability, there's no doubting his ability. He did a great job at Brentford, made all his players better. 4 years, was never a yo-yo club, wasn't even in the relegation zone once. Fourth or fifth highest scorer in the Premier League last year. 21 points taken from the top 6. So it wasn't even like he was a Brentford were sort of were bullies and could only beat the clubs lower in the league. He did very well against top 6. So for me, that's the only thing. Can he handle the pressure of the job? That's about it. If he can, then I think he's going to be very successful. So the ceiling that he can get to at the club.
Yeah, but for me, I don't see any risk at all. What I mean by that is no more risk than any other manager joining.
Yeah.
People, we would have said that, there's no risk for a Jose because it's Jose. There's no risk for a Conte because it's Conte. I think he's going to have the same risk, which means no risk. Does that make sense? Like, it's either going to work for him or it won't. I think people in this fan base especially, we're always like, we'll see in 2 years if it's worked. If it doesn't work in 2 years, you know what? He'll be gone and get another manager. And for all these people that say, we change managers every 2 years, the average span of a Premier League manager is like less than a year or something. It's like 11 months or something. So it doesn't surprise me. I think he's got the right temperament for the fans. I think he's got the right demeanour, Lubo. Is that fair to say? I think he comes across very level-headed, very calm, good demeanour. He's good with the press. And I don't think he'll let a lot of it faze him, in my opinion.
No, I think, listen, he handles the press very well. He's a very confident talker. And thank God he looks at the camera when he talks and he doesn't look at the floor. So, he engages with people more, which is great. And, and as a fan, I'm interested to hear what he says. Pre-match, post-match, during the week, if there's anything to talk about. So I don't want to see film of a manager looking at the floor while he's talking. Just think it's rude. So there we go.
No, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you on that one. I want a manager that when I see him on the TV, I think, hang on, I want to hear what he's got to say. I got to the stage, unfortunately, with the last manager where I was like, oh God, he's talking again. I'm just going to ignore it. It will be a lot of waffle. Destiny 5. By the way, this is an interesting one. Daniela, big up, and said, sorry, if you want 65 million for Romero, an injury-prone defender, then it has to be around 70, 75 million for Kudos. I think the difference is, Daniela, is, and listen, I'm not Romero's greatest fan, as Lubo will tell you, but he is a winner. Romero has won World Cups, Europa League, 2 Copa Americas. Yeah. Listen, and I love Kudus as well, Daniela. I do. So for me, I don't see the correlation. Look, Kudus for me is coming off the back of an average, poor to average season, which for me isn't a problem. Players have bad years. Romero's got 2 years left, but Romero plays in a position where the number of top centre-halves in the world, Lubo, it's not what it was. It's not what it was. So he's going to be at a premium. That's how I see it.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall if Spurs do sign him. The first day he walks into the training onto the training ground and says hello to Mickey van der Ven.
I'd love it. I love it. They'll sort it out. They'll sort it out completely. We need to get Lubo a mic. We'll get you a proper mic, Lubo. Don't you worry about that. Let's have a look. Romero is only injury prone when he was running to the ground. El Dante, that's not strictly true. Again, look at his career. This is not true. Yes, it didn't help. Yes, I think Ange made it worse than normal, but this isn't true. If we actually go and look at his career stats, he misses a lot of football, whatever club he's at. I I think fair's fair, right? I'm not saying Ange didn't help, but
no. I think in terms of, I think there were two where I agree with El Danzi is number one, he shouldn't have played the first week or two because he came back. He'd had 2 weeks off after the competitions. He got back. He had 2 weeks rest and then started training. Players need a minimum of 3, probably 4 in pre-season. And you normally find that players that play in competitions and come back after maybe 3 weeks rest and go straight into pre-season training normally blow up towards the back end of the season. They hit the wall. So and then he got pulled back in before he was fit. They conditioned his muscles up after the injury against City in the League Cup. Then he played against Ipswich and aggravated the injury again, which was a foot injury. Then he missed 4 weeks. He was back in training after 3 at the beginning of December, and instead of giving him at least 2 weeks, maybe 3, to condition, they threw him straight in against Chelsea on the following Sunday, 6 days later, and he got injured again, and he missed 24 games, I think it was. So Ange didn't do Romero any favours. Literally from day one when he came back in training, he was to blame for me the first 4 goals we conceded last season. Which I think there was 2 against Newcastle, there was 1 at Leicester, 1 against Arsenal, though that could well have been a free kick because Gabriel pushed him, and didn't really get going. Unfortunately, it was a real stop-start season for him. Just sort of going back onto Daniela's comment. Be interesting to hear from Daniela what she thought of Kudus last season.
Sorry, just quickly. This is not true. This is not true. If you look, I think it's closer to 62% of all Spurs games that Romero's played for Tottenham since he joined. We worked it out the other week. He misses a lot of games. Rude Boy said last year he missed something like 36 games of football. 34, 35.
He missed 34. Right. The previous year he missed 7.
Yeah, but the year before that, he missed a shed load as well. And the year before that, he missed a shed load. So it's not 75%. I know that much.
No, I know that much. It's not. It's about 60. I think it's about 60.
Sorry, go on. So Daniela's point?
No, I'd be interested to hear from Daniela what she thought of Kudus last season. I had a West Ham friend on the phone to me first thing this morning, just talking about transfers. He told me that hopefully, if he joins a better team, you would see the best of him. He said he was lazy last season. His attitude stunk. He didn't want to be at the club, and you could see it. So, it'd be interesting to hear from Daniela what she thought.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a comment in the chat earlier where she said, they're frustrated by his attitude. But, I mean, we could say that about Romero, and we all stick up for Romero, right? Look, I think the main factor on Romero is going to be about whether he wants to be here. I think that is the main factor. If he wants to be here, I can't see why Daniel Levy would want to sell him. But what we've got to do is, if he turns around and says, I don't want to be here, and is sold for 60 million, can't then all have a pop at Daniel Levy. You've got to, you know what I mean? This is my point. We can't all just pretend we know exactly why he goes if he goes. Atletico Madrid, for me, I think he wants to be there. It makes sense for every reason. He wants to play in La Liga. Loads of his mates are there from Argentina. Diego Simeone is one of the best managers in the world, and Argentinian, a bit of an icon. So we'll see. If he stays, I'll say this, Lubo. If he stays, sign a new contract this summer, the whole thing ends. We all shut up.
Absolutely.
He signs the contract, stay fit, and then Romero's not a talking point anymore, is he?
No, he's not. I think the key thing will be when he comes in, sits down with Thomas Frank. If he does go, you got to remember we've bought 3 centre backs.
Yeah.
In effect, in the last year, we bought Dragusin, then we bought Danso, and now we've got Vuskovic joining. He joined yesterday, officially. So for me, we don't need to buy another centre back. We've got those three. We probably need if you're going to buy a centre back, it's got to be a left-footed centre back and cover for Van der Ven. But you don't need another. You don't need another right-footed centre back.
I think the interesting thing about this is lots of people are going to go, well, if Romero goes, we must get another centre back. I think the difference is Frank's system won't allow defenders to be exposed. So it will be more tight-knit, it will be more together, and you will see the best from Dragoshin and Danso because they won't be asked to do what they can't do. And I'm a big believer in that, Lubo. You know, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I look at Danso and Dragoshin, very similar in terms of style of player. Old school centre-backs. They're not there to be amazing on the ball. They're not there to bring it out. They're not there for their pace. They are there to put their head on everything.
Sure.
They are here to block everything. They will dive in front of everything. And that's what Thomas Frank's done really well. He got that. Look what he got out of Nathan Collins, who they signed, who's been an ever-present for him. Look at Pinnock. If I'm not wrong, Lubo, Ethan Pinnock was in the non-league a few years back, or League Two.
Yeah,
Sepp Vandenberg. So I'm not so worried if he goes. I'm not so worried.
Listen, Vuskovic is being held as the next big thing.
Yep, he is.
You know, in the best 50 teenagers worldwide, I think he was in there. He'll be fine. I'm looking forward to seeing him when he gets the chance. I'm sure there'll be pre-season games that he'll play in. If Romero goes, listen, it'd be a shame for me if Romero goes. I personally think that all the players playing at their peak, I think Romero is the best.
Yeah, we always disagree on this, but yeah.
So for me, it'll be a real shame. His passing between the lines, I think, is absolutely superb. Not many players beat Romero on a one-on-one. Very, very rarely. You wouldn't see Romero taken to the cleaners like the Everton winger took Dragusin to the cleaners.
I've seen Romero taken to the cleaners plenty of times this season. Don't worry about that, Lubo. Don't worry about that.
So for me, if Romero stays, fantastic. If he doesn't want to be here, let him go. And let's see how Vuskovic does when he comes in. Danso's a good centre-back as well.
Yeah.
I think I read that Frank mentioned in his initial interview with Spurs that he mentioned Phillips, I think. So
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
All the reports are saying that he's going to Sheffield United, right?
Well, I think Sheffield United want him and Devine, don't they? But listen, that could be just paper talk at the end of the day. I'm sure Frank wants to have a look at both before he makes any decisions.
Yeah. I've always had the same. Before we move on, I've always had the same. Listen, I like Romero. I think he's good. I'm not going to be as upset as others if he goes. I don't think he's that good that we'll miss him. I think we can get a solid partnership without the man. All I'm going to say is this. All those crying that they want Romero and Van der Ven as the partnership next season, if that is the partnership next season and they're injured a lot, can't be using that as an excuse because we know now they missed loads of football. And if you want to build a team around two injury-prone players, I think you can get away with one injury-prone defender, but both of them, it's a big worry for me. Listen, VDV's been taken to the cleaner. VDV's been taken to the cleaner. So has Romero. So they all have. They all have.
VDV is a different matter. Isak put him on his backside, didn't he, at St James's Park? Because he just moves too quickly, and he just goes flying past players, and then tries to stop, spins, and you saw with Isak's balance and how he just waited and then took the ball the other way. What happened with Van der Ven? It's going to be interesting to see how Van der Ven defends, not playing a high line. The high line played to his strength because the guy's the fastest footballer in the Premier League. So on a long ball on a chase, no one was ever going to catch him. Can he defend when he's not sprinting 30 yards? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, listen, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, look, I'm not saying he can't do it, Van der Ven, but I've said all along, I want to see, and not once every 3 weeks consistently. Let's see how good these players are when they've got a proper manager with a proper formation. That's when I'll be able to judge how good a defender is he versus how quick is he. Is that fair?
Sure. I think it's funny, actually, that in the first minute at Frankfurt in the away leg, Ekatike broke through, didn't he? Van der Ven came from nowhere and made that amazing tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the tackle. When you look back over the Europa run, I think that tackle and also the clearance in Bilbao for Mickey were just phenomenal.
Oh, for sure.
Just
sure.
superb.
For me, I've always said that you judge a defender. I don't judge them on these miraculous moments. For me, I think the best defenders have always been judged on doing the simple things well. If you watch Virgil van Dijk, he does everything, all the simple things that he makes look easy. He does it really well, game in, game out. That's what I want to see from ours.
He also steps up every big game, and that's key as well, because you see how good players are against the better opposition, always.
No, completely agree. And there's people saying, go get Lakiba. I've seen the report today that Tottenham do want Lakiba. Lakiba's got a 90 million euro release clause. If we're all shitting our pants at buying Kudus for 60, I think when we start seeing numbers that begin with a 9, I think we should all probably forget that one. I like Lakiba. I think he's a good player. I feel like he'll have, again, I talk about it all the time. I'm so sorry to bore people. I talk about the food chain all the time. There are players we know that when certain clubs come calling for them, you do have to kind of concede a little bit that we won't be the favourite in the running. I feel the same with Kudus. I feel the same with Eze and Arsenal, Kudus and Chelsea. It will be the same with Xavi Simons. If we go for him, it will be the same for any of them. This, for me, is where we need to be smarter. For me, I think this is where we've got to be smarter. Can we get those players? Can we get Kudus before this Kudus? Can we get the João Pedro before the one that sold to Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? Can we get them a couple of years earlier? That's where I think we need to get better.
Well, I was told that Ange had a choice of Johnson and Kudus and went for Johnson. So that answers that. If that's correct, that answers your question just now. Mm-hmm. Could we have got in 2 years ago?
Yeah. By the way, VDV will be our number 6 next season. I can't see this at all, mate. I really can't see this at all. I keep seeing Spurs fans want to shoehorn Romero in a 6.
That would be interesting.
Van der Ven as a 6.
Romero in a 6 would be interesting because he's good on the ball.
Not for me.
And he tackles well.
No, but he doesn't. But he doesn't. He'd be booked every game. Listen, playing the 6 is a specialised position. I don't want centre-backs filling in. I want a proper defensive midfielder. I'm not doing this shoehorning players in because we like them.
Look how well Dyer did under Poch before Wanyama joined. He was superb that year, wasn't he? He got around the pitch quickly. He was winning tackles. Him and Dembele were very, very good midfield too. Everybody talks about Dembele and Wanyama, but the year before, Dyer was excellent as well.
Yeah, I want a proper number 6. I don't want any of this. Let's try and shoehorn them in. I think you grow up playing that position. 9 times out of 10, you grow up playing that position, and it shows. Romero, for me, I've said it all along. I'm not going to change my opinion on Romero. Far too rash to play as a DM. Far too rash. Look at the DMs that play there for their clubs. They're cool. They're calm. They're collected. This man is attracted to a ball like a fly. He is just like, I'm going to go and win it. And that's good in some examples, but not in others. This is an interesting comment. Raider275. I completely agree, Raider. Context is very important when we talk about Kudus last season. Saying Kudus' best position is on the right wing and West Ham never play in there. Now, if we actually look, for all these people that are talking about Kudus last season, this is where he played last season. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see there, look, these are all the different positions where West Ham played him. Okay? Now, if we look down here, you'll see He played 9 as a left winger, 8 centre forward, 6 right, 6 attacking mid. This is why when you get a player like that, you've got to put him in his position and leave him in his position. So that's why I'm not so bothered that he had a difficult year. Players are allowed a difficult year. He was excellent at Ajax, excellent in year 1 at West Ham. He's just had a season where he's had 2 different managers. It's not been a good year for West Ham. I'll take him all day long. But look, let's go to the questions. We have got Marios out there in Cyprus. Big up to you, my man. So big up Savva Lubo, the best show on YouTube. No, stop it. If Frank is 15th on Christmas, do you think Levy will pull the plug, or will he do the same with Ange? Maybe Levy is changing. Lubo?
Be an improvement on last season, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Right.
Frank won't be 15th at Christmas.
I don't think he will be. If he is, though, Lubo, let's talk about this. If he is, to Marios's point, what about all those fans that said league position doesn't matter? Will they be saying league position doesn't matter next season if we're 15th at Christmas?
Listen, last season we had the Europa to fall back on, didn't we?
Sure.
And that's what got us out of trouble. So for me, it was a really just drifting back to last season briefly. It was a bizarre season. It was a real season of extremes. I don't think I can ever remember a season like that, ever. You know, we were like one place above the relegation zone, and I know we were never seriously in relegation trouble. But the form just dropped off, 5 points out the last 12 games, and we had an amazing night in Bilbao. We haven't got that safety net this season. Just can't do it.
No,
so
absolutely.
But I do think we'll buy players. I do think Frank will have a very up and down first half of the season. There will be some strange results, and I think you'll see once the new players, whoever they are integrated in, which can take a few months. Then, and once the regular players get used to his system, then I think we'll do well. The last half of next season, I think will be very good. I just hope we're within touching distance of the top 6 when it comes to Christmas, when things start clicking into place. Because I'd love to see Spurs have another go at another Europa League in 12 months' time.
Yeah, I agree. I just want the fans to be consistent. If this time if at Christmas we're 15th, I don't want to hear all these people who said, "Oh, the league position doesn't matter," suddenly want him being sacked for 15th. Let's be consistent. For me, I think league position. You know me, Lubo. I think it very much matters. Now, I'm not expecting him to be brilliant in the first 2-3 months. I think he's got a lot to do. I think he's got a lot to sort out. And I think fans are going to need to be James, I think Kimmich, you're talking about a different level of player there, my man. Like, look, for anyone who wants him there, brilliant. But I just don't know why we wouldn't buy one. Like, when Man City needed a defensive midfielder, they bought them. Yeah, Liverpool have bought midfielders. Arsenal have bought midfielders. Chelsea have bought midfielders. Why do we have to be the club that have to try and shoehorn someone in? Let's buy what we need. Anyway, it is what it is. I think for all those sad as well, they're not that encouraged by Kudus and blah, blah, blah. I think you've got to look at the wingers we've got. I think this is some of the worst crop of wingers I've seen at Tottenham. It's really, really weak. I don't think any of our wingers know how to beat a man. None of them have got a good cross on them. None of them have got a skill in their locker. I'm not having it. Where are we? Let's go to the next question. Mike Chase has said, Savva, in this morning's program, you didn't mention Sonny being a contender for the left side of attack. Is that because you think, as I do, that he needs to go? Said with heavy heart. I mean, look, let me say this to you, Mike. I'm just a bit bored now I've said it, and you listen, I've seen Sonny at his best. We've seen Sonny in his peak for many, many years. That's not the Sonny we've got anymore. And bigger clubs would have moved him on by now. Bigger clubs would have moved him on, recycled, refreshed. I've just got to the stage where Son's not going to show me anything as a fan now where I go, yeah, look at him. He's brilliant. Oh, my God, that's brand new. I just want to see it freshened up. So for me, I do think that he needs to go. I think it's the perfect time to go as the captain of the Europa League winners. Go now. He's had 10 seasons, is it? Now he's had 10 seasons?
Yes, he's been, he came in 2015.
Right. So he's done 10 seasons at Tottenham. Yeah. Right? 10 years, hundreds of goals, captain of the club. Just want to see something a bit different. Lubo, where are you at with this?
I think Sonny also relied on, there were three things. He had Kane with him, who was absolutely brilliant at putting him through.
Great.
He had pace. And I think there was one period, not so long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where he was the most clinical finisher on chances in the whole of Europe. But I think he's on the wane because he's 32, 33, 33, I think, next birthday. The speed hasn't gone. Sorry, the speed has gone. It's not there anymore to beat players. Now's the time to go. Cash in now. You know, let him go somewhere where he can win trophies. Suppose he can get a good final payday out of it. Although, you know, 10 million a year isn't shabby, is it? That he was earning at Spurs. Now's the time to cash in.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Big up, Noel. Thank you for just subscribing. Really appreciate you. Let me go to a super chat that I did see. Big up, by the way, just quick before I go to that super chat, 438 of you in here and growing, 145 likes. We're doing that thing again, guys. Come on. It's really simple. Just, it's a free show. Just smash the like. It means a lot to me.
We need Jaron Bowen stats for the smashing the lights, not Kudus, don't we?
Yeah. Let's go to big up to Moose. Very, very generous. Thank you very much, Moose, out there in the US. Really appreciate you, my man. You were very generous the other day as well, so thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Said, hello, boys. I'm not entirely convinced with Tell as our starting left wing. Do you think he is the starting left winger? I know everyone else is saying we need a right winger replacement. I think BJ hasn't done horrible, and Frank likes him. Lubo, doesn't a lot of this, big up Moose, thanks for that. Doesn't a lot of this depend, what formation we play? I think we're talking a lot as fans as though this is Ange's system, and it's not going to be Ange's system. So, first of all, are we going to play out and out wingers? Second of all, I think the difference is, Moose, I think Brennan Johnson has been absolutely horrible as a right winger. Now, if you ask me, has he done well getting in the box and scoring goals? Yes, but as a right winger, he's absolutely... I'm going to say it, Lubo. You might disagree with me. I think he's one of the worst wide men I've ever seen play football. From a technical standpoint, strength, being able to beat a man, cross. But where his skill is getting in that box into that 12 yards and being there to score goals. But as a footballer, I think he's absolutely atrocious.
I think he's a lazy player.
Agreed.
I'll give you one instance. Ball was played into him. I think it was Porro played him down the line at Old Trafford last season. And the ball past the defender for Johnson to run onto is how he scored a lot of his goals at Forest, although he was further in playing at Forest. He went down the line, he put the ball in for Kulu, and Kulu made it 2-0. And that was Johnson at his best.
Yeah.
As a winger. The ball wasn't played to feet. There was a gap, and the ball was played past the defender for Johnson to run onto. And I don't see enough of that. From time to time, you'll see flashes of that from Johnson, but he very rarely beats his fullback. I just think it's laziness. just think that if Kudus doesn't come, then I think Johnson will start on the right, unless they got someone else up their sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
If he does come, you could play him with Johnson and Solanke as a front three. Possibly. I don't, because I think, Frank wanted Johnson initially. Do you remember he offered 35 million and Forest said no, and then Spurs bought him a couple of months later for 12.5 million more. So I think, I think Frank likes Johnson, obviously, because he wanted to buy him 2 years ago. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see who Frank likes, who he kicks out, who he wants out of the club, and what system he's going to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think what we've got to do, and first of all, thank Moose City. Thank you so much for that, my man. That's very, very generous. I think that we've got to wait and see as well the way he's going to play them. We know he's not going to invert the fullbacks the way that Ange did. When you look at Brentford's fullbacks last season, their heat maps are hugging the touchline. I think that we're going to get a lot more overlapping from fullbacks than underlapping what we had with Ange. So, listen, I think there's going to be room. Look, Johnson's not going anywhere. So I think he'll be used slightly differently this year. I hope if we start the first game of the season and our front three is Tell, Solanke and Johnson, then I will have the mother of all fits. I will lose my mind if that is the front three that starts the first game of the season. But that's just me. That's just me. Big up, Dylan. Big up to you, my man. I hope you're well. I also think that I hear quite a lot about Solanke and Johnson playing together as a two. I don't know. I'll be honest, Lubo, it gets me excited about 0 out of 10 watching those two together.
Two other options I will put to you. I know the first one you won't agree with me on. I think if it's a choice of Solomon and Tell, Solomon gets the nod because he's a better player. And secondly, Maddison played on the left up front, didn't he? At Leicester, he sort of floated around on the front line, and that's an area. That's an area, that Maddison could play.
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be interesting. Maybe,
maybe, don't we? But he could play on that left.
Well, just maybe, that Thomas Frank doesn't go with 2 out-and-out wide men. We don't know. Let's wait and see what we do. I think we'll start to get a glimpse as we get further into the pre-season friendlies as to what we're going to do. But look, all I know is I just can't go in to next season with that as a front three. Johnson, Solanke and Tell has to be probably the weakest front three of any Champions League team. Maybe there's a few far-flung teams, but I mean, in general, it's a very poor front three for me. Very poor. Let's go back to the questions. GD said Kudus ain't coming off to Chelsea now. The Gittins deal has fallen through. No, it hasn't. The Gittins deal gone through, isn't it?
I thought it was done.
Yeah, it's done, isn't it? I mean, are we saying things just for being silly? Or, again, as I said, please, when these things are being put in the chat, tell us where. By the way, a deal that is done is Jonathan David is a Juventus player subject to a medical this Friday. So Jonathan David will be a Juventus player. So they have now got Jonathan David. Who else was I looking at? Jonathan David. They've got
that's a shame.
Vlahovic and also Randall Kolo Muani. Look at that. Look at those three. Look at those three, and then look at ours. The levels are frightening, and this is a team I was told had no money. Gus has said, Tell, Odegaard, Johnson all need to go. I think it all depends, Gus, on how serious we are as a team. All I've seen today is can't let Johnson go, can't let Solomon go, can't let Solanke go, can't let this. Listen, for me, if you're going to bring in better, I don't care who goes. I don't have any sentiment with any of these footballers at all. They all serve a purpose and then they move on. I had sentiment with people like this guy, people like David Ginola, I had sentiment with. I have people with sentiment like Modric and Bale, and none of the players we've got now, I don't have any
Dortmund have agreed a £55 million deal for Gittins. He's yet to have his medical.
Yeah.
James, and wages were agreed in June. So it's all down to the medical.
When did Chelsea not get it over the line? Let's be, come on, guys. This is not Spurs. This is Chelsea. They wrap deals up. I can't believe Savva writes players off before they're allowed to play with Frank. Who have I written off? Give me some examples, James. Otherwise, it's a silly thing to say. Listen, there are some players. Listen, if we're going to go by this metric, James, let's go by. I'm gonna wrap you in a pretzel here. By your metric, then Spurs shouldn't sign any footballers. We shouldn't sign any players, Lubo, because Frank's going to have them. Now, listen, there are players there that Frank will develop. There will be players there that won't develop. Yeah. Every year you need, of course, it will be completely different, James. Hence why I wanted him. You can't twist me up in my own. Lubo, how long did I want Thomas Frank for? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? People like this, stop trolling. Let's go to our next. By the way, big up. Thank you very much for this, Moose. Honestly, really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's go to Paul Watkins. Just put in a super sticker. He started the super sticker train. Fun fact, if everyone stuck in £1, we'd have £500 in a minute. Go. Just kidding. Thank you very much, Paul Watkins. Love the dog as well. Always love the pictures of your dog. Thank you very much, Paul. You've been so generous to me this last few weeks, few months. Thank you very much. And big up to Nige at Pure Coys, one of my favourites. Big up, Nige. Hoping to see you for the FHTV barbecue, which is 2 weeks on Saturday, if I'm not wrong.
You can't behave like you do when you go out with Mark Cousins. I heard about those stories. Hey, you think you're in Ibiza, the two of you?
Yeah, I've got bouncers on the door and everything. So any unruly behaviour, and Mark Cousins and Nige Pure Coys will be chucked out the front door. Big up to you, Nige. Thank you very much. Archer said the food chain is boring. The status quo needs to be challenged. Sure, it's boring. Sure, it needs to be challenged. Easier said than done, though, Archer. You can't just rock up one day and buy every top player. You've got to have a reason why these players want to come to you. So back in the day when City and Chelsea did it, the reason people went there was they saw how much money they had and went, oh my God, they're buying boom, 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 boom. You can't just rock up to a player and go, we're challenging the status quo. All right, cool. I tell you what, if Lubo rings me up from Tottenham, right? Lubo rings me up. I am, let's say I am Eze. He rings me up and he says, come join us. We're challenging the big boys. My first question to Lubo is, how? Who else you buying? Okay, you're going to buy me. Who else you buying? Well, we're looking at Matisse Tell. Yeah, that's not doing it for me. We're getting a 20-year-old from Japan. Yeah, that's not doing it for me. You've got to, it's an amalgamation of things, right? Get 2 or 3 Eze types, Kudus types this window. Then you get another one in January, another 2 next summer. Then you could turn around to people and go, look what we're building. Can't just, not as simple as just saying challenge it. You've got to have something worthwhile that is challenging, right? But I just thought that was an interesting point. Andrew Kiddle, who lives where I grew up in Lee Green in South London. Hope you've got your bulletproof vest on, Andrew. When I was growing up there, it was a very dangerous place to be. Says, Savva Lubo, would you take this? Kudus, Fratesi, Tapsoba Collins, Mikuatsi and Grealish. Yes. Yes. That would be an unbelievable window for me. That would be unbelievable.
I prefer as a centre-back, I prefer to get Hincapi. Now, I think that would be a good buy.
Yeah, good player, Hincapi. Well, listen, I'll take this, though. I mean, we're talking about that's completely revamping the entire forward line, midfield and centre backs. Listen, Andrew, we can dream, right? We can dream. Mikotadze, good player. Good player. If anyone's not seen him, yeah. Good player. See, for me, they're the sort of signings, Lubo, where I think that's a sensible one. He's a good player. He's strong. He's quick. He scores goals, can play off the left, play through the middle. That, for me, won't cost the earth, won't be massive wages. That's the sort of sensible signing I talk about, Lubo.
Give Daniel a call.
What, Daniel Coys?
Yeah, Daniel Coys. So it is Daniel Coys, isn't it?
Hi, is that Daniel Coys? Listen, I found this guy at Lyon, who are currently relegated due to whatever they did wrong. But listen, Lyon already have lost. Who did I say that Lyon sold? Fofana, is it? Cherky is gone. Fofana looks like he's on the way out. Mikuadze, I mean,
all you got to do when you pick up the phone and say, Daniel, there's a deal here. So what are you going to say?
Daniel, pay me, and I'll be. Daniel, you give me $100,000 a year, and I'll scout all around the world for you, and I will bring you back players that are less than 50 million that are better than what we've got. There we go. That's simple. Big up to Rich, who has put in a super chat. Big up to you, Rich. Really appreciate you. Is that Rich? Is that Rich C? Are you Rich C from our old WhatsApp group? Let me know. Either way, big up to you, Rich. Really appreciate that. Finn McMullen said, fans obsession, wingers, Frank will play wing backs. Well, this is an interesting one. Actually, I'll tell you, we'll come back to that in 1 second. Big up Emma Morton, who's put in a super sticker as well. Thank you very much, Emma. Really, really do appreciate you. Thank you to everyone subscribing as well. We are only 170 away now from 19,000. We've had about 40 subscribers today. So thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed. Please keep subscribing. We're about 171 away from 19,000, which is when I started the channel, I never even thought I'd get to 1,000. So it's a big number for me. Thank you very much to everyone. And smash the like buttons. There's over 400 of you in here. Only 197 likes. We've got a 1 in 2. Let's make it a 3 and 4 situation. Big up, Emma.
We got Pimlico Plumbers in the comments, who was on your show this morning.
Yeah.
Asking why Spurs aren't going to buy Paqueta. Well, it could be, James, that he's probably going to get a lifetime ban. Paqueta. Yeah,
I mean, Finn has said fans' obsession with wingers. Frank will play wing backs. Then I saw this comment from Finn. He's getting frustrated, saying he will play with wing backs. Now, Finn, hang on. I think the difficulty you've got here is he can play multiple systems. He can play wing backs, and he does, but he also can play a back four and does. And if you look at the second half of last season, nearly every game, barring 1 or 2, Brentford played a back four with Sharda and Buemo out wide, Damsgaard in the number 10, and Visser through the middle. So I don't know. Listen, Finn, I would love him to play wing backs. Lubo, I would love him to go to wing backs, have Porro and Udogie as the width, and then have the playmaker Maddison being a playmaker and not having to worry about wide men that can't cross. I'd love that.
That suits the players we've got, because you've got the centre backs. Key Romero, Van der Ven, you'll have Danso, you could have Phillips, you could have Vuskovic, you could have Dragerson when he gets back. There's no shortage of centre backs. We got plenty of centre backs, and you need numbers if you're going to play 3 at the back. So for me, I'd play 3 at the back. You've got 3 excellent wing backs. In fact, you've got a kid coming back who he may chuck out on loan. I mean, you've got Porro, Udogie, and Spence. George Abbott's had a most terrific season. I mean, he was excellent for the under-21s in the season before last. He had a very good year, albeit at Notts County. You could play him as an overlapping fullback because he's also a midfield player. So you've got 4 there. You've got them there. So I don't like goalkeepers as captain either. I thought Kane should have been captain instead of Lloris every day of the week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not a fan of goalkeepers as captains. I still think we need a captain. But listen, we'll see. I think a lot of this as well, we're talking as though we know the manager inside out. We're talking as though we know how we've played under a manager. This isn't Ange. This is a new guy. He's going to have new perspective. He's going to see things in training that we don't know. We might see a few shocks, comings and goings, ins and outs. We don't know. But I've got a question here from Perchy, who's WhatsApped it to me. He's too cool to put it in the chat. This is a question for you both. Suggesting we get the signings Frank wants. What would either of you consider a successful season and why? Also, with the players we currently have, who will be the breakthrough player of the season? And in brackets, Lubo cannot say Gray. I kid you not. I kid you not. Can you see at the bottom? Lubo cannot say Gray. I kid you not. That's what Birchie said to me. So, Lubo, let's go with the first bit before we talk about the player. If we get the signings we want and Frank wants, what's a successful season to you?
6th place and a place in the Europa.
Yeah.
For me.
I agree. I agree, by the way. I think, can we agree on this, Lubo? I think if in year one, with the mess he's picked up and what he needs to do, if this guy got top 5 and Champions League through the league, I'll build the bloke a statue. I think it would be a phenomenal first year if he did that. But I think 6th, if we get the signings we need, by the way. I'm not predicting that. I just think that would be a successful season.
I think if any manager that takes a club from 17th to 6th in 12 months from scratch, I think it'll be superb.
Yeah.
That means adding about 30 points, 25, 30 points to last year's total.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're 28 points off the top 6. 28.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 10 wins. Lubo, when you break it down like that,
it could be the same. It was interesting because last year, apart from Liverpool, everybody was beating everyone else. And you look at the defeats, you wouldn't expect City to lose at Brighton, to lose at Bournemouth, to lose to us in the League Cup, lose to us at home 4-0.
Big up to you. Big up to you. Andy Sinton. Never speak to Coover about Andy Sinton. He's got a thing about Andy Sinton. I'll try and get Coover on the show soon, and he'll be able to tell you himself. Big up to you, Chris. What a lovely guy Chris CC is.
Breakthrough player for next season.
Breakthrough player.
If he stays, if he doesn't go out on loan because he needs games, if he stays breakthrough player for me, are we saying that Bergval's already broken through?
Yeah, I feel like that would be an easy one to say, Bergval, but I feel Bergval was the breakthrough player this year, season, wasn't he?
Yeah. For me, I think the breakthrough player next season, and it's going to be one of two. It's going to be one of two. I think it's either going to be Mikey Moore or it's going to be Luca Williams-Barnett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's going to be Dane Scarlett. I think this year we might see 12 to 15 Premier League goals from Dane Scarlett. No. Should have pulled me up on that a lot sooner. No.
I'm sitting here in shock thinking,
what's happened to Savva?
He loves the kids.
It's going to be interesting. I've got a feeling it's going to be. I think Bergval will be the one he develops the most, but I can't say breakthrough because he was breakthrough this year. I've got a feeling Moore will sign that new contract and go out on loan, which I think is a bloody good thing for him. I've got nothing against that. As I've said, I worry about Gray getting game time I'm allowed to say Gray. You can't say Gray. I'm worried about Gray's game time for him to be that guy. I've got a feeling it might be one of the centre halves because
like Vuskovic.
Like a Vuskovic, I don't know if it's Phillips, if it's Takai, if it's Vuskovic. Mm-hmm. I've got a feeling it might be one of them because with the injury-prone centre-backs we've got, one of them is going to find themselves playing a run of games at some point, and we're going to find out very quickly how good they are. Now, looking at the videos of Takai, very difficult when you've only seen videos. He looks really good. He does. But it's a huge difference between watching a few videos and then seeing him line up in the Premier League. So we'll see. Other than that, I don't know. Will Donnelly get minutes? I don't know. I don't know who else will get minutes, mate. I don't think Lancashire will.
I think you'll see Donnelly pre-season.
I do.
I think you probably see him at Bromley.
Are you going to go Tuesday night to Bromley?
I'm away next week.
How are you? I'm going to go. I'm going to go because it's a couple of miles that way. I think it's like 1.6 miles or whatever it is. I'm going to go to Bromley. And I thought about that. I thought I'll probably get to see the likes of Phillips and Donnelly and more. I'm guessing I'll get to see them.
Devine, Lancashire. I'm quite a lot of them.
I'll do a report. I'll do a scouting report when I come back. But I should probably buy a ticket if I want to go to that game. But yeah, if anyone is going, let me know. We'll meet up there. We'll have a chat. It's a lovely little stadium, Bromley's little stadium. They've done very well, established themselves this year after coming up from the conference. I think they were 13th, 12th, something like that.
Would you buy Michael Cheek as another centre back? Do a swap with Bromley for Richie?
Do you know the funny thing? Whenever I watch Bromley live, Michael Cheek is awful. Whenever I don't watch them, he's banging in goals for. Honestly, you watch him play, right? Watch him, Lubo.
He was a leading goal scorer last season.
Yeah, he was the player of the year in the league, right? He can't run, right? He can't run. Not particularly got brilliant hold up or technical ability, but he knows where the basket is. And he's come up, continued to score goals in that level. And I think Bromley look quite a lot at Palace and Charlton for some of their youngsters and stuff. So, I'm going to go to Bromley a few more times this season. I think I'm going to go down there to Bromley Stadium. Big up to each and every one of you. Let's get some more questions. Morton Barley, my man Gary out there in Dublin, the world's biggest city because it keeps doubling and doubling. What a bad dad joke. Question, please. Man United said they will No, they didn't. Man United said they will subsidise Rashford's salary to support a move to Spurs. Please, God, know your thoughts. First of all, who on earth said this? Why specifically Spurs? Who said this, Gary? Are you believing everything you read again? I've not seen this reported anywhere, Lubo. Have you?
No.
I'll say what I said yesterday about Rashford. If you said to me that Marcus Rashford is joining Tottenham on a season-long loan, I've got no problem with it. I've got no problem with it. I think when you start talking about, are we going to buy him, his massive wages, what will his attitude be? I've got a problem with it. For me, though, I think there is a very good footballer in there. And when I look at the forwards we've got, he's better than all of them. That's the problem I have.
Does he still have the love for the game, the drive, the hunger? That's the question.
Hence why I would loan him. That's why I would loan him.
When you've got a local kid playing for his team and he wants out, you've got to wonder why. You've got to wonder why. Wow. You know.
Yeah, by the way, sorry, somebody just sent me a graph of left-footed dribblers in Europe. Oh my God, it's mad. Kudus is just so far and away better than everyone else. It's unreal. Anyway, Lubo, I agree with you. I'll tell you what I would do. I would turn around and say, okay, we want a loan with an option to buy. Yeah. And I would make it very clear to him, you've got a year to impress. You've got by the way, World Cup year as well, Lubo.
Yeah.
World Cup year. Come to Spurs, play on our left side, impress. Listen, he's superior to Tell. Yeah, he's superior to Odebert. He's superior to all of our forwards. He's superior to Solanke and Richie. He is. It's just about that, isn't it? It's his mindset.
Yeah.
As a player, really like him. As a mentality, I don't know. I mean, look what happened when I used this example yesterday, Lubo. When Villa played PSG at Villa Park, Rashford was ripping the shit out of PSG. Like, he was phenomenal. He was brilliant. That Rashford, I love. Maybe, though, he needs a new environment. I think he needs a new environment. But that's my answer on that one. Brentford don't have as many centre-halves as us, though, Sav. No, Finn, I agree. Finn, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, man. I champion the wing-backs. We've got Porro and Udogie. Forget all of these wingers that we're saying are crap. Play Porro and Udogie. We don't need them. Play Porro and Udogie. Get Maddison and Eze in that hole behind the striker. You're living the dream, aren't you? You're living your best life. Again, yeah. Or Kudus in there. Kudus and Maddison floating around in behind the striker, letting the fullbacks actually, the wing backs provide the width. I'm all over it, mate. I'm all over it. Let's get to the next question. Big up to you, Finn. Morton Barley. Where are you, Gary? Where are you getting this information from? Who has said this? Gary, where are you getting this information from? Hang on, he sent me the link. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the problem is, Gary, a lot of these links. I mean, this is a guy called Danny Wright who works for Tottenham News, or I don't know. It just doesn't. The Telegraph reported it. I don't know. Look, Nkunku, 2 years ago, all over it. Now, a shell of the man he was. 2 years ago, when they got him, I thought that is a top signing. For me, always injured. Always injured, Lubo. I think he's had a very difficult 2 years. I'd stay clear of this one for me.
Shame, he was excellent in Germany, wasn't he? For
Excellent.
Leipzig, for Leipzig, wasn't it?
Yeah, excellent.
He was a really good player. Again, Chelsea just seem to stockpile players, don't they?
Oh, that's all. Yeah.
It's mad.
Chelsea have a plan. Says hearing Spurs have spoken to Cole Peters, but Frank isn't too keen on him. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Let's go to the next question. Big up, Gary. Yeah, listen, I always look at the source of the comment first. I always look at the source and see if hang on. 1 second. Yeah, listen, our last question, I'm going to just quickly, I need to pop away for about 60 seconds. Big up, Gary. I appreciate you. Cyprus Spurs, big up to you, my man. Looks like you need to get in the gym a bit more. I don't think your muscles on your neck are quite big enough. So, big up, lads. Question, is it worth to try Van der Ven as left back?
Oh, good question. You got to play Mickey at centre back in a proper system and see how he does. Because I think he has played left back for Holland, hasn't he? I believe. It's a good shout. It is a good shout, Cyprus Spurs. And maybe it depends, doesn't it? It depends which system he's going to play. If he's going to play wing backs, then you would play Mickey on the left, wouldn't you? On the left of the three. So maybe Romero in the middle, Danso on the right. But it's a good shout. It's a good shout. Again with Mickey, it comes down to seeing how he plays in a proper defensive system. There's no doubting his speed. Let's see how he does. It's going to be a really, really interesting. It's going to be a really interesting start to the season. It's going to be interesting to see who he plays, what system he picks. I think we're going to have a few surprises. I think there's going to be a few players playing in positions that people weren't expecting. So let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see. Next question, please.
Thanks, Lubo. Yeah, big up. Thank you, Cyprus Spurs. Really appreciate that. Where are we? Bader. So, a question for Lubo. Who was your Spurs' favourite player in 1981?
Glenn Hoddle. Nice and easy. We had some superb players then, didn't we? I mean, you look at that team. You had Clements. You had, I mean, the front players were Archibald, Crooks. You had Villa, Ardiles, Hoddle. It was mental. It was just mad. It was, the whole thing was superb. Yeah, Perryman playing. It was great team. Great team.
There you go. I mean, Glenn Hoddle's not a bad answer to any question, is it?
Tony Galvin, just excellent. Whole thing was great. Chrissy Houghton.
Yeah. Kudus is at 3-10 to go to Spurs, 10-11 to go to Chelsea, 11-4 to Newcastle. Yeah, look, we'll see. Listen, of course, he's going to be 3-10 on Spurs because we're the only ones that we know are definitely talking to him at the moment. Football transfers change like that. All it takes is one phone call, my man. All it takes is one phone call, and Chelsea put themselves into the running. So be very, very mindful of that. Let's have a look at some questions here. Only going to go for another 10 minutes or so, if that's all right with you, Lubo.
Yeah, fine. However long.
Where are we? Hang on, I'm just trying to... Corby, good evening, lads. What's your opinion on our number one? I don't fancy Vicario. I'd rather... I'm guessing that was not going to say Kinky, and I'm guessing that's meant to say Kinski. What do you make of... I mean, listen, I know your answer, but go on, you can give it anyway. I know your answer to this question.
Kinski shouldn't be at our club. Pure and simple. We've got some great kids coming through. Keely's 21, Gunter's 19. There was no need to buy a 21-year-old. Just a waste of money. Again, waste of a European, waste of a non-homegrown club trained place out the 17. Just pointless. I mean, just look at the ball that went through his hands at Villa in the Cup. The ball that went through his hands from Trossard at the Emirates. He hadn't been at the club a month. He's giving away two pathetic goals like that. Sorry, not for me. Vicario is one of the best shot stoppers in the league with Edison, Raya, Alisson, and Emi Martinez. Those five, I think, for me, are way ahead of the rest.
Yeah, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and praise Kinski. I think it's I couldn't believe the hype after his debut of, oh my God, we found our new number one. And but he's still young. We'll see what happens when he gets game time. Vicario, I think you all know my opinion. I think he's okay. I think he's decent. I don't think he's as good as many make him out to be. However, I want to see him this year when he's not playing in front of an exposed back four and a team which just allow crosses into the box. And this is the thing, when we talk about an Ange system and how we play, all of these things should hopefully iron themselves out a bit. All of these dangerous things that Ange did by putting pressure on players like Vicario, like the centre-halves, like the centre-mids, I feel that will iron themselves out a little bit this year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Listen, he's a good goalkeeper. I just don't go overboard about him. Charlton have signed striker Tanto Alefi from Stockport. There we go. Carl Walker.
Sav, can you go back one? No, there was one on Tyrese Hall.
Oh yeah, it's not going back one. Yeah, sorry, that was miles back, but I just flipped screens.
Okay.
Yeah, someone saying Tyrese Hall's good and he needs minutes somewhere, right? I think that was the post.
I saw Tyrese Hall 2 or 3 times in the Youth Cup run when City knocked them out of the quarterfinals season before last, which would have been, where are we now, 25, 24, sort of February, March 24. Tyrese Hall at under 18 level in the Youth Cup looked absolutely phenomenal. Controlled the games, literally pulled the strings, skipped away from players like they weren't there, just turned and spun. Absolutely tremendous. Just glided with the ball. Played against QPR at Loftus Road in a pre-season friendly in July and looked so far off it, unfortunately. And the first team squad didn't see him again. So a year later, it'd be interesting to see where Tyrese Hall is at. And I'm sure he's one of the kids that Thomas Frank will have a look at. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. Let's have a look. Got a couple of questions. First of all, somebody did mention now, I've lost it now, was saying about Kyle Walker. For me, I think that ship sailed.
Yeah.
For me, Kyle Walker, I think he's gone somewhere, isn't he? Either way, I think that ship sailed. I really don't think we need to be looking at that position either, unless we go to. No, I don't think we need to. So I don't think that's a starter for me. Nathan McCreary has a good question. He said, I haven't heard many people discuss how finishing 17th affects players wanting to come to Tottenham. Is it a big deal, even with a trophy? Nathan, I talked about this all last summer, all last season. I've talked about it all summer so far. When people just turn around and go, Levy, get in these top players. These players are going to look at Spurs and go, well, what happened? What's going on? Why did you finish so poorly? I think you'll get away with it for 1 year. But some players... Definitely. Some players you won't. So I do think it does matter, even with a trophy, Lubo.
I think we got away with it because we won the Champions League. Europa League, and got into the Champions League. I think we've got to have a much better league season. And I think, at the end of the day, Spurs are still a big name. They're still a big club. If players get the money that they want, if they're impressed with Thomas Frank, then it's a whole different ball game. Last year was under a different manager. Everybody knew his system was horrendous. But that's done, that's gone, that's finished. And even, and players will see that the system changed. Ange went 180 degrees from it's who we are, mate, to it's not who we are, mate. And he completely threw away a lifetime of principles of how he plays football to win that Europa League. So for me, people will have a look at that. They'll see a club that's won a European trophy last year. And, if they sell the club correctly, we can still get some decent players in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's an interesting one. What do you both think of McAtee at Man City? Can I answer this one first?
25 million.
Yeah, I'd snap him up all day.
No brainer.
Do you know what this is, Lubo? This is going to be the next. I'm not saying they're all the same player, but this is going to be the next Lavia, the next Cole Palmer. This is going to be the next one of those Man City kids that they let go, that you see really good, and people go, oh, I can't believe they let them go. I would take McAtee, but year one, I'd have him rotating, and then year two, I'd have him in as I think he's a very good little player.
Yeah. They have a conveyor belt, that City Academy, of bringing through players. And you just look at people, Porro came out of there, didn't he? Cole Palmer came out. There are so many. And McAtee's another one. The kid O'Reilly looks like he's coming through now, doesn't he?
Good player.
Good
player. Yeah, I'd take him all day long. If they're asking for 20, as I've said, I'll take him. I'll take Harvey Elliott. I think there's a number of these very talented attacking midfielders that are playing for these big clubs that can't quite get the game time they want. I would take them in a heartbeat. Absolutely, I would. Of course, they know it's the exception. But the thing is, Emma, if we're talking about buying the big players and their agents are going to look at it. Trust me with how players and agents work. They will look at it and go, hang on, you finished 8th, 5th, 17th. They're going to look and go, hang on, my client wants to be playing for a club finishing 4th, third.
They'll want Champions League teams.
Of course.
That's what they want.
Cool.
I'm not sure it'll even be a question of where they finished the last 3 years. It'll be, are they in the Champions League? How strong are they? But they won't be,
are they in the Champions League for 1 year? This is the thing, Lubo. You've got to remember that as fans, trust me, having spoken to a number of agents, as fans, we can sit here and go, but we've got Champions League football to offer. But the agent and the player are going to look and go, right, is this a one-off? Is this a one-off that they've got Champions League, or is my client joining a team that every year? So when we talk about Chelsea, let's say Chelsea and Spurs for Kudus, for example, because we know that might be happening. We can turn around and go, yeah, we can compete with Chelsea. We've got Champions League this season. But they get it more often than not. I mean, how many years in the last 30 have Chelsea not been in the Champions League, do you reckon? 2?
Well, Abramovich won what, 21 trophies in 19 or 20 years. So that's what you're up against, unfortunately.
Of course. And big up, I love that question. Big up to El Dante, said, if Gueye is worth 75 million with 1 year left, how is Romero worth 65? El Dante, Mark Gueye, mark my words, will not be sold for 75 million. Liverpool will get him at 40, 45. I reckon. 45. Yeah. There you go. They're not going to pay 75 million for a guy with 1 year left on his contract. And Steve Parish, isn't it? He's not that dumb to ask for 75 million. He won't price him out. So I don't know where you've got that number from, my man, but I can't. That can't be right. By the way, someone from The Athletic has just posted that Spurs did apparently bid 70 million for Mbeumo. I don't know how true that is, but not now. We did earlier in the window, and apparently he only wants United. I don't know how true that is, but that's somebody from The Athletic. And then the last question of the day, Jimbo has a question. 200 million budget, you can buy 5 players. Who are you buying, but you have to sell 2 first teamers?
Which ones do you want? How many do you want? Richarlison, Solanke,
first teamers.
Johnson, Basuma, Son. There's 6.
Anyone.
There's 6.
Yeah. Listen, I think with the question of which 5 you're buying, I think that I'm a big fan. I'd love Kudus. I'd like another forward. I still think going in with Solanke and Johnson, I know people are talking about it. That for me is not anywhere near threatening. I think we need a midfielder, maybe a fullback, a cover, another winger on the left. I don't know. There's loads. There's loads of players that I think we need. How many will we get? I think realistically, we'll only get 2 to 3 first team signings this summer, and a few.
If we're lucky.
Yeah. I think more realistically 2. I think as a bare minimum, I want to see 2 that on game 1 against Burnley are both starting, right? And then after that, we'll see. At least that's a start. 2 first team starters that come straight in.
I think you'll see a right winger, because that's obviously the area they're looking at.
Yep.
I think you'll see a number 6. I think you'll see a 6 coming.
Yeah.
And they'll be the 2.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, listen, whether it's an out-and-out 6, whether it's a number 8 or whatever it is, we need a midfielder. But maybe Frank looks at them in the next couple of weeks and says, hang on, I like Basuma Bentancur. I like Bentancur Bergvall as a partnership. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe he sees something he's like. And you've got to remember that this is a guy that's used to...
Even the player perch he doesn't want mentioned.
Well, there you go. I can't see that, but you've got to remember this is a manager that isn't used to having the pick of transfers. This isn't a manager that rocks up to clubs that have massive players with egos. He builds the players. He'll look and see what he needs. But listen, Lubo, I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks to everyone who's been watching in the comments. Smash a few likes. Come on, guys. It hasn't been that bad, has it?
Yeah, the likes are shocking. Guys, there's 440 of you still in the chat. Can we get this to 300 likes? We're on 230. Come on, people. Listen, Lubo, thanks very much. Look, we'll see what happens, guys. Have faith. There will be signings of that. I can 100% guarantee you. To what their quality will be, I cannot guarantee you. Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, big up, take care. And as always, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I've got a live fan call-in show tomorrow afternoon and hopefully some transfer news for you at some point in the next 24, 48 hours. Take care. Come on. You Spurs.